Tonight's program is going to be an abject lesson in how the world works. Now, YouTuber, social media influencer, radio personality Kendra G. I was watching and someone had sent me a picture. A friend of mine had sent me a picture and she was really impressed by what she saw. Females tend to be impressed by these things. Of Kendra G standing in front of what is readily recognizable as a Bentley Continental. Super exotic car, iconic design, and all of that was great. But as you all know, I am a former car dealer, current car enthusiast, and there are certain things you recognize, obviously a trend watcher, and there are certain things you immediately recognize. And this is a teaching moment to all the men out there about how in this society, I want you to understand that women expect far more from you than they expect from themselves. If you put you and them in the exact same situation and say, bring home rewards, the things that they will celebrate about themselves will be far more modest than what they will expect from you. Case in point, Kendra G. Jason, what are you talking about here? Well, you're taking a look at this and this all looks very, very nice. This is the Bentley Continental. She's got an outfit the same color blue as this is. This is supposed to be a birthday present for herself. She was very, very happy about that. Birthday present for herself. That's great. That's good. She's letting her breasts sway in the breeze. And she is just styling and profiling. She's just putting up every photo that she can. So she is very impressed by this. All right. Now, here's where I do, of course, want to take this as an opportunity to shine a little light of day on this. Now, it is currently the year 2022. This car, if I remember correctly here, this is the Bentley Continental GT Supersport. I believe the vents on the hood are the telltale sign there. If I remember my dates correctly, it should have come out. This should have come out in like 2010. Possible it was a little bit earlier than that, but 2010. I want to say Volkswagen started releasing when they took control of Bentley, they started releasing this in 2007. And what I'm telling you is that this is a first generation car. Now, there are several things that give it away. The first generation after Volkswagen took over was, I believe, between 2007 and 2012. And you can tell differences, first and foremost, starting with the hood, starting with the crease line where the hood is. If you take a look here, you can see that the crease line where the hood separates, you can see it right there in the middle where the headlights are. You can see it right above where the Continental symbol is. And by the way, not saying any of all this to be a problem. I'm just saying I want to point out to you here that you understand what you're looking at. Well, what's the point of that? The point is this car is somewhere between 12 to 15 years old. Somewhere in there. And you can go and take a look at them and whatnot. You can go and look it up for yourselves. Somewhere between, it could be anywhere from 12 to 15 years old. Well, what's the big deal about that? It's still a Bentley, first generation, all right? When you go and take a look at it, though, if you go on Auto Trader, you can go and take a look and, well, what do you know? You can pick up a 2010 Bentley Continental Supersport, and you can see from the date range I put in, but you can pick up a Bentley Continental Supersport for about $80,000, about the cost of an entry-level Escalade, about the cost of an entry-level Escalade, about the cost of a fully decked-out Mercedes E-Class. And understand something now. You're talking about when they first took over, the infotainment system is going to be ancient. The technology was great for its time. It was cutting edge for its time for what it was. But what I'm saying is, by the way, if you got a Mercedes S-Class, you paid more for it probably than she did. And I'm not throwing shade because I want you to understand, you can buy whatever in the world you want to. That's perfectly fine. Buy whatever you like. And by the way, you can go to Auto Trader and check it all out for yourselves. whatever you want to. White tends to be a color that people tend to like more, but take a look at if you take a look at the grill and you take a look at the front grill bumpers, the bumper where the grill is, you can see they match up perfectly. You see the vertical over on the edge where the headlights are. It's horizontal here in the middle. And you take a look on the side here, it's vertical under the headlights, horizontal in the middle. Well, why is this such a big deal? Jason, what do you care about? Why is this such a big deal? Why is this something that you latched onto here? Why is this something that you took a look at and are making an issue out of? Why is this important? I'll tell you why it's important. It is important not because of Kendra G. That's not the reason it's important. It is important because of this number right here and this number right here. Since she posted this 2 days ago, it has gotten 25,000 likes, 13,000 comments. So what that means is that practically for every comment, well, for every like is gotten a comment, basically. For every like that this photo received, for every like, somebody commented. So that's a very high engagement rate. Very high engagement. Not bad. Not bad at all when you think about it. And I got to thinking to myself, well, I'm just wondering something. Because there is something I'm just wondering. And I'm wondering to myself if a man did the same thing. If a fella pulled up and did the same thing, how would that be received? Well, Jason, what do you mean by that? Well, if you take a look at it here, you can see she's saying it's my effing birthday. Every year I buy myself a birthday gift. This year I bought myself a Bentley. Taurus season. I think she meant Ford Taurus, but all right. 25,000 likes, 13,000 comments. And if you take a look, practically all the comments, not all, but practically all the comments are from females. Practically all of them. Practically all. And take a look at them. They're all spazzing out. They're all geeked up. I mean, they're crip walking. They are celebrating big. They're celebrating big. Take a look at that. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. 13,000 of them. I'm not going to walk you through all this. I'm having a teaching moment today. Don't let the haters sit up here and try to distract from it. I'm having a teaching moment right now. I'm having a teaching moment. And what I'm saying is that imagine, if you will, and I'm going to open up the phone lines very, very early here because I want us to discuss that tonight. If it were a man who did this, if it were a man who came up and told her, hey, I bought you a Bentley. And she's sitting there saying, oh, that's great. Let me go take a look at it. And then she walks outside and her Bentley is old enough to catch a manslaughter charge. I'm just wondering myself, would this be the same reaction? Would she give the same reaction if a man had purchased this for her as a gift? Or would she have said, this old broke nigga here, he done bought me a damn 13, 14-year-old car? That's the question I want to ask. You see, in the internet age, I want you all to understand that so much of the intellectual real estate is tied up in deceiving men. Let me give you an analogy that I think will work out a little bit better for you here. If it were a man who bought this as a gift for his girlfriend, would you still be impressed if somebody bought you an iPhone 2, would you still be impressed if it was someone who bought you an iPhone 2, an iPhone 3? If someone bought you, it's the year 2022, if someone bought you an iPhone 3 as a birthday gift, would you still be impressed? Would that still be okay? Would you still go to social media, big red bow, bunch of pictures, same color outfit? Yeah, let me put that in context for you before the haters try to distort this. And by the way, I'm not faking on anybody's shine or whatever. They can have whatever they want. What I'm saying is that in this environment, if a man did the same thing, if a man presented this to the female, if this was a gift from a man, could we get away with bringing her a 13, 14-year-old car and expect her to dance it up on social media and expect her to be grateful? Is this the same response that we would get? Now, remember, Super Sport is, for those of you trying to acknowledge that in the chat room, you're correct. Super Sport is actually one of the higher trim levels. If we take this down to a basic trim level, you actually could get a 2009, 2010 Bentley Continental for around $60,000. So about the same price as an entry-level Mercedes E-Class, not even the S-Class, an E-Class. If you're willing to take a car that is old enough to go to high school. Now, the onus and the pressure that is put on men is astronomical. If it were a man and you is the year 2022, if the car's date don't begin with 2022, they're going to be looking at you sideways. But this is perfectly permissible among women, is what I'm saying. When she's got to go spend the money herself and she's got to go get it for herself, when she has to get out here and go dig it up on her own, what she allows for herself, let me rephrase that, what they allow for themselves, is radically different, radically more lenient than what they allow for you. What is adequate, what is exceptional for them, the amount of work that they are willing to put in for themselves is far less than what they expect you to do in the exact same situation. Far less. So that's the whole point I wanted to make here. And it's not disco anything. Don't let any haters sit up here and try to make this into a bad situation. What I'm doing is I'm pointing out a fundamental truth. This is something that men deal with all the time. We deal with this all the time. And what I'm saying is a lot of fellas out here are pressured, are bludgeoned into grossly overpaying. Because they don't know the FICO score. They don't know what the market value really is. So they have been tricked and bludgeoned into doing a bunch of things that they shouldn't, that they don't have to. And you have a social media environment where let's be very, very clear, ladies, let's be honest. The women are on code. The women are on code. You take a look at this. 25,000 likes. The women are on code, man. They are on code heavy. They are locking arms. They're like, you go, girl. If this had been a man who had presented this to her as a gift, they'd have been checking the Carfax and every damn thing else. But for themselves, it's far more lenient. But then again, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I could be in error. Maybe there's something I don't see. I'll be perfectly happy to give you an opportunity to address that as well. So what I'm going to do is, I know I'm early tonight on this. I want to go ahead and open up the telephone lines. You can go ahead and give us a call at 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. You can go ahead and also look in the description. We have a link to Zoom in the description. I give priority to people who, if you go on Zoom, you get priority. And I especially want to hear from the women tonight. We got a couple of thousand people in here. So if you like what you hear tonight, if I'm telling the truth, fellas, if I'm telling the truth, and ladies, if I'm telling the truth about the standards, if I'm telling the truth about this double standard now, let me get a thumbs up in the chat and hit the like button for me. Some folks are not going to like this, but let's just be totally honest. Let's have a candid conversation about this for once. The standard that is held for men to perform for women is far higher than the standard that women expect even of themselves. So if that's the way it's going to be, what I'm saying, it has to be one of two things. Either you're grateful for a man who does what you do, or if he exceeds that, then the level of accommodation that he gets and deference that he gets should be proportional to how he has exceeded those expectations, or at least met those higher expectations. But this idea that just by default, a man needs to do 5 times as well and does not receive 5 times the amount of value in correct behavior, there's where the issue lies. There's where the problem is. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Also, the link for Zoom is in the description of the video. If you want to go ahead and zoom into that, you can. And what I'm discussing here tonight are how I'm using this as an example with Kendra G about how women expect far more from men than they expect from themselves. Not a little bit, far more. Far more. And if you're a fella out there, if you're one of these young fellas out there that you kind of been suckered into it, you kind of got sucked into believing that, hey, the bar of performance is sky high for me. If you kind of got suckered into that, I want you to give me a call as well. I want us to discuss how the bar of performance for men is far higher. Women expect far more from you. Performance is far higher than what they expect from themselves. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here. Let me get caller from area code 201. You're on live with The Business. Turn off your speakers. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Cherry.
This chick is not ready for life. Take your phone off of speaker, whoever you are. You are yelling across the kitchen.
Hello?
Okay. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Cherry, Jersey City.
Carrie from Jersey City. What's on your mind?
I love my car is 2015 and I bought it. My husband wouldn't even allow me to buy that car. Regardless of it, because he wouldn't allow it.
And why wouldn't he allow it?
One thing, it costs too much. And he thinks more practical, and so do I. And
okay, well, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. She is dipping her feet in Epsom salt, so either that or she's fighting with the cats. So we're going to let her get back to focusing on what she was doing over there. We'll let her get back to that. In the meantime here, the telephone number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let me get caller from area code 703. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is CB calling out of Alexandria, Virginia.
CB, Alexandria, Virginia. What's on your mind?
Real quick, you mentioned before that you're just reiterating what a lot of men feel today. But I have one specific example of how a woman with about 2 to 3 kids said that she would charge a man to perform oral sex on her up in the thousands, and then she ultimately ended up with a man who's on probation. So that particularly stuck out to me, and it's very true what you're saying.
That's a very good example that you made. That's a very good example because that goes right to the heart of what we're saying here. Do you understand how much better, because they have more experience, by the way, do you realize how much better at negotiating in the sexual marketplace the women are? They are very good at setting their price sky high. They set the cost sky high. She comes through the door with 3 bastard kids, an STD, messed up credit, Section 8 voucher, debt out the ass, and is telling you that you got to pay a Rolls Royce. So they are very, very good at doing that. They are very, very good at setting their price very high.
She tried it, and ultimately I got a chance to observe as time progressed. She ended up with a man on probation who's buying cigarettes from me.
Were y'all both doing time together?
So, nah, I'm just saying he was buying singles. You know what I'm saying? So.
No, okay, I just wanted to make sure there, brother. I'm just about to say, if you knew, yeah, I was doing time with that nigga.
I'm a truck driver, man.
I'm about to say, you can't overprice me. I did time with that nigga. You can't charge me more. Well, at least you got to have your intel on it. But this is a very good cautionary tale because that's exactly what happens. As women, they set their price very high, and as the men, we tend to walk in setting the price very low. Think about that for a few moments. The price tends to be very low. For a man who's productive, it's like, okay, they give away the store. And for the women, they charge sky high for it. Now, she knows that she's not going to be able to get that because her real price is going to be somewhere well below that. But she's like, hell, it doesn't hurt to ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. Even if they know they can't get it, and they do know they can't get it, they're just like, well, hell, that's the way of drawing out the best price out of you. She wants to see how much you're going to pay. So they become very, very good. I mean, at a very early age, they become very, very savvy and very, very smart about finding out where your ceiling is as a man. However, what she will tolerate from herself is going to be far lower because here's the real thing. What does she do for a living?
Yeah, Jason, I'm not sure if you're hearing the static, but it may be my phone, but appreciate you taking my call.
Okay, thank you very much for giving us a call here. That prison burner phone might be giving us some issues there. But if you take a look at what she does for a living, that's the thing to really take a look at. Take a look at what she does. So she's going to tell you what it's got to be. And then when you take a look at what she does for a living, does that really compute? So you can be a truck driver. This other fella can be an ex-con. And what is she doing exactly? And yet, she is expecting lifestyles of the rich and famous accommodations. Let me get caller from area code 205. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How you doing? This is Kim from Hueytown, Alabama.
Kim from Hueytown, Alabama. What's on your mind?
Okay. Me personally, I'm not hard to please. I've been married going on 22 years, and I cheese every time I get in the car. So my husband just bought me. It's an older Lexus IS 250, and I'm excited about my car. I don't got no note. I ain't have to worry about paying for it. He paid for it. I ain't have to wonder, okay, where the money coming from, or how is this gonna affect our finances. I ain't worried about it. He came up to me. He was like, hey, Kim, you know what? I know we looking for you a car. How about I just buy the car that you really want? And I was like, okay. He said, now maybe an older model. I said, I don't care. I just want me. If I'm getting what I want, I'm not, like I said, I ain't hard to please. And he had the rims refurbished. He done had the calipers painted the color that I wanted, the rims painted the color. So I'm not hard to please at all. So I cheese every time I get behind the wheel, smiling, opening the sunroof, and people be like, Kim, I see you. They be like, when? I said, my husband bought it. It makes me feel good. I'm like, my husband bought this. I ain't got no note. So women who, feel like they can do it for themselves, at the end of the day, don't nothing beat when a man do it. I don't care what nobody say, because at the end of the day, ain't something I have to worry about.
Women value simplicity and stress-free, and at the end of the day, she puts a lot more value on it if it's your burden instead of hers. Because the status comes from a man doing it for her. It comes from that. But to be clear, while you're a great woman in that regard, Kim, the rest of the population, the rest of your peers, they're on something different. They're on something different.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We should go down to Harestown, Alabama. Huh? Let me get caller from area code 334. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name's Roman, calling from Montgomery.
Roman from Montgomery where?
Alabama.
Okay, this must be Kim's husband. What's on your mind?
One point that I would like to make about everything that's going on is, strangely enough, even she's middle-aged, bragging about buying a car. Like, come on, man, you're middle-aged. I mean, I done bought plenty brand new cars. By the time you get middle-aged, it shouldn't be a big deal that you bought a brand new car. Well, even if it is a brand new car, who's to say? And then another thing is,
I'm to say it's not brand
black
new.
People
I'm to say it's not a brand new car. It's not a brand new car, but go ahead.
I mean, but that just seems weird to me. Like, like, come on, man. Like, get real. Like, grow up. And then the second point I want to make is, black folk always acting like they never had nothing. Like, come on, man. Like, be for real. Like, black people buy luxury items all the time. This is crazy. Like, people get something, black people get something. As soon as they get something, they got to put it online. They got to show everybody. Come on, man. Quit acting like folks who ain't never had shit. Stop doing that. They making us look bad. Anyway, I had to put that in. Keep up the good work, boss.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Well, I mean, there's certain levels to this, as a matter of fact. There are certain levels to this. If you have a man who can take care of that for you, that actually would add status to it. But the other thing is, let's be clear, 25,000 likes, 13,000 comments and rising. This is really flexing in front of, working class people. This is flexing in front of other females. And that's always a dangerous thing, because they'll be cheering for you one moment and then cheering for your downfall the next. That's the really killing thing about it. Remember what I've always told you, how impressed by your car are other females. Think about that for a few moments. Yeah, I know they're dropping likes and things on Facebook, and I get that, but how impressed by your car can a bunch of other females be? How impressive for them is that? Did they get up this morning dreaming about how great it would be to fawn over your car? But then again, living vicariously, sure, they're middle-aged, they're living vicariously. She's living her best life, and they're content to just sit there and watch. So what I'm saying in tonight's program here is not directed at the women now. Tonight's program is not directed at the women. Tonight's program is directed at the men. When I had mentioned to you before about what the standard performance is, about what it takes to qualify, when I was talking about this before, when I mentioned to the guys what they needed to do, when I introduced to them the concept of a company car, when I told them about the fact that women don't outwork you, they are not going to even attempt to outwork you. They're not even going to try to do it. Not at all. When I was saying this before, this is the reason why I was saying it. Fellas, the bar to clear is not that high. It really isn't. It's really not. And in the case of this car in particular, as you know, like I say, first time it needs a brake job, somebody's going to be crying. But the real point is that most men out here believe that the price is far higher than it actually is, with no real concept of what they really need to do or what's really acceptable. They don't understand. What they're doing is selling you a line. And you have a generation of males who believe that they are substandard, believe that they are incapable, believe that they're not able. They don't think that anything they do is good enough. They believe that there's some invisible barrier to entry without actually knowing what it really is. because everything around them has done a screw job on them to convince them that the price is 200, 300, 400,000. And I'm not even saying necessarily that in some instances might not be true. What I am saying to you, though, is I want you to understand you are in a trick bag where everybody is telling you that if what they expect from you, they're leading you to believe that what they expect from you is what they expect from themselves. And the answer is no. And do you have the courage and do you have the principle and the character to accept that, you know what, by the way, folks are going to get over on you. That's the real point here. They're going to get over on you if you let them. If you allow it and you let them. To the fellas out there, if you haven't gotten your FICO score together, if you have not gotten your nominal together, understand something. Buying a car is a part of adulthood. Buying a car is a part of adulthood. Have you been told about that? Has that been reinforced to you that, by the way, this is a part of adulthood? I'm saying to you that you can go ahead and check that out on Kendra G's page. And I think this is a good moment for you to learn that, by the way, if this is good enough for her, if this is good enough for her to flip out, if a 12, 13-year-old Bentley is good enough for her to flip out, then why would it not be good enough for you? Why is that not good enough for you? If it's good enough for her that she goes to social media and she's doing backflips and can get tens of thousands of likes, if that's what qualifies for her, then obviously the question is, all right, why would that not be sufficient for you then? Have you thought that over? Why is it not sufficient for you? If this was good enough to get Kendra G to do backflips on social media, then it should be good enough for you, shouldn't it? Remember Stacey Dash? Stacey Dash, she's internationally known, she's internationally remembered, starred on Clueless, and yet she was living down in a couple $1,000 a month apartment with this dude in Florida. That was how much it cost and what it took to bag Stacey Dash. Think about that for a few moments. All you had to do to get Stacey Dash was have a couple $1,000 a month apartment down in Florida. When she got arrested, that was all it took. Now the place that she just moved into and she had her little, you already see my program I already did about that. She had one of her female friends help her to move in. Yeah, how much did that cost? Everything is all IKEA. They're going on 50 years old. Everything's IKEA now. How much did that cost? Now, if you were to talk to her, she's going to be telling you about Rolls Royces. She's going to be telling you about Bentleys. She's going to be telling you about champagne and caviar. She's going to be telling you about that. But if you go and take a look at her life, then you realize, oh, hell, it's not quite like that. So that's the lesson I want you males to learn. I want you to learn this lesson. That when you are presented with the bill, it's going to have a bunch of digits on it. But when you take a look and say, okay, I want you to, let's find out what the price really is. Well, how do we know what the price really is? Are you going to outwork us? What are you going to do to outwork us? Let me get caller from area code 314. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Mia White, and I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri.
Mia White from St. Louis, Missouri. And what's on your mind, Mia?
Well, I was just calling and just to make a few points. It's more, I think it's more of a competition thing with women, you know, especially the younger people, you know, and it's nothing wrong with having nice things. It's nothing wrong with buying yourself something nice. But, you know, like your point is what you were saying is true, that if a man were to buy this young lady the car, it would have been, well, why wasn't it the newest one? And it's because of the competition and it being a status if a man did it. But since she did it, it's okay. But if a man did it, it would have been a double standard. It would have been, why didn't you give me the newest one, blah, blah, blah. You know, and we need to be happy for other people and stop, you know, hating and because I want a nice car, and when I see that car, I look at it and say, okay, I'm gonna get it one day. And if a man were to buy it for me, that would be fine. I would be grateful, But I think today's society, the young people aren't grateful because they think they can get everything so quick, and they can do these things through social media and the internet and online, and they can get stuff quick, and they can, but it doesn't make you appreciate it.
Well, tell me here, let me find out in particular here for the women. This post has 25,000 likes, 13,000 comments. That is a lot of feedback. That's not a little bit. That's a lot of feedback. And all of it is glowingly positive. So this isn't just her situation. This is across the board here. Why do you, obviously this points to the culture in female society today. So why is it that you think that double standard has been adopted as the norm?
That's a really good question. I think that I think it's more of a competition thing, really. It's not about love and, it's about my man's got this job or he's doing whatever he's doing and he got me the best car that there is to get the best of the best, this year's car. And I don't think it's about, the appreciation. I just think it's a competition. And if it were a man that had it on that, I don't know if it would be like, I don't know if it was the majority of women giving all these likes or, if it was men too. I don't know.
No, the overwhelming majority were women. The overwhelming majority were women. There were only a very few men who said anything. And it's 13,000 comments, so I haven't had the time to go through all of those. I'm not that big of a fan.
Right.
But what I am saying is the overwhelming majority were females, and they were all equally gushing. So the sisterhood was in full force here. And it's very clear what the implication is. What women will celebrate for themselves is a far more lenient standard than what they expect from men.
Yes. And then the society also is saying, you don't need a man to get you this. You go ahead and get this, get A, B, and C yourself. You don't need a man. So that's fallen into society and the agenda that is being pushed today. So that's another reason why I think a lot of women are hyping it up, and it's a good thing. She's beautiful. The car is beautiful. The outfit is beautiful, but who cares that it's this old? But if a man were to get it, it'd be different. Thank you, and thank you for what you do, and you be careful because you are one of the few men that's out here that is telling the truth, and we want you to be safe.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, Mia, and the well wishes here, obviously, here. And I want to thank everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program on Cash App or Super Chat. So soulfully sowing seeds. I see you out there, Larry's Anything Go LLC. Divine Feminine. Is there a Bentley in your future? I don't know. Mogul Maze. Thank you and everybody else here. Let me get caller from area code 904. You're on live with the business. Turn off your speakers.
On Cash App or Super Chat. So soulfully sowing seeds. I see you out there, Larry's Anything Go LLC.
This clown has turned that on and then walked away from the phone to go call their baby daddy and make sure that he's going to come and bring some Similac. Caller from area code 714. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Sean, calling from Las Vegas.
Sean from Las Vegas. What's on your mind?
This is just a clear show of women who don't understand in regards to personal finance. Like in the next 2 years, that car, when the transmission goes out, when the brakes go out, and she starts to realize the expense of what it actually costs to maintain a car like that, she's going to end up having to trade it in. But it looks good for right now to show off to her friends, her colleagues, to give the acronym or the idea of success. But if she was really trying to show off, she'd give some financial advice to her viewers, not trying to stunt like this. I mean, going back to your original point of her buying this particular car, and if a guy bought it, it would have been an older model. With women, the idea is that if you're going to be in their life, that they feel like they deserve the best. The entitlement of your money for a lot of women, especially in the Western world, is real, you know. But the onus of blame, honestly, goes back onto the men, because a lot of men mess with women who don't like them. You know what I mean? And if you're having to shell out money for a woman to be with you, she doesn't really like you.
Okay,
because when a woman really likes you,
let me interject.
You don't have to pay for it.
Let me interject there, brother. You
Go
said
ahead.
a lot of men are spending time with women who really don't like them. I said last week, I want men to understand, actually, women don't like you. That's kind of a misnomer that males have, is that they have an intrinsic value and women like you. The real thing is women really gravitate to a man based on what he can contribute. That is first and foremost what women look for out of a man, is what he can contribute. And now they've been conditioned to say, okay, get the maximum you can. So in reality, brother, women don't really like men like that. They really don't. Across the board.
She desires you physically.
Okay, but even that is not a like situation. Once again, there's a purpose to it, you know, because to say that you like somebody, that means there's an intrinsic value. For example, you have male friends. I'm assuming you're not intimate with them. You have male friends and you get along with these people. Even if they've never worked on your car, they never helped you fix anything around the house or whatever. These are folk you kick it with at work or whatever, and you get along well with them. You like them. Even if they don't actually do anything for you, you like them. They got a good personality. That's one thing. Where men are concerned, when the female's like, okay, this guy is cute. Well, she wants to get with him because she's expecting to get something. If his cuteness doesn't actually contribute to her, she's not interested in that. Now, to go back to the other point that you were making here before, is about, you know, in this kind of situation here, you're right. There is a price tag on it. And what the fellas have been told today, which is why I want to have a conversation like this, the fellas have been told that the price tag for having, and they've adopted it across the board because there's so many males who will go for it. What they've been told is the price is a Bentley. Whatever she's doing in her life, you have to be doing 3 times as much. Simply to get basic, just to get basic companionship, you need to be doing 3 times as much.
You know, a lot of it goes back to what these women have been taught, you know, especially within the minority community, Black, Hispanic, whatever, that, you know, an empty purse and a wet vagina don't match. So the onus is to always be acquiring assets for a man if he's going to be around you, you know? And a lot of women have been taught this, unfortunately.
Well, and that makes sense. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. If a man's going to be around a woman, he absolutely does need to qualify to be there. Here's the problem. You got chicks out here who are looking like Gilbert Grape, talking about where's my Bentley? Talking about you have to do X, Y, Z. Right. You got chicks out here with 2 and 3 kids talking about I shouldn't have to work. I should get to go to all the great stores and I should just be able to sit around the house and I shouldn't have to work. I shouldn't have to do anything. 30 years old, 35 years old, 40 years old, expecting to live in the lap of luxury, and you take care of it all. So what we're saying is that her value, now to the women who might be wondering, okay, Jason, this sounds kind of harsh, why you're not like that? Because in your mind, your value is evergreen, and it's not. Going over time, your value as a woman decreases. It doesn't just hold. So over time, the man's value is increasing and what you expect from him is increasing. And yet what he's going to get from you for all of this above average performance, he's going to do all of this to have the exact same female. Now, there's where the disconnect comes.
But what you don't realize is they can ask for whatever they want, but the market, right? The sexual market value dictates everything. Like that one brother said before, like this woman who wanted this, and this, but ended up selling for a guy on probation. That's her market. That's her value. So even though she sets her price high, there's a reality to that. That's why there's so many single mothers out there with multiple kids, and they're all single because once they go out into the market with this high value, they automatically realize the reality of it, that they're not getting what they think they should get. You know what I mean? Because the market will always dictate your value, regardless of what you think your value is. You can think you're a 10, but if you go out in the market and it's not offering you, you're not getting back what you think your value is.
Well, I mean, when they sit on social media and soak themselves, they can sit there with females who actually can get it. And the average female, and by average, I mean the majority. Average here means majority. The majority of the female population can't get it. And yet they fantasize that Kendra G's options, even at her age, Kendra G's options are my options. That there really is a disconnect. Right. Ladies, I want to make a declaration to you all tonight. There really is a disconnect. That a lot of you take a look at things and you are just quite frankly, ladies, basic. Okay, well, not going to beat up on you about it. Probably a basic female, and yet you are saying to yourselves, well, I understand that, but I'm me. I understand that applies to all these other females that Jason is talking about. What he's saying is true, but I'm different. I'm me. You have to understand, I'm the exception. And what's happening today is that every female is telling herself that she is the exception, that what we're saying is true, but that she's the exception to the rule. And that is what every female is saying today. None of them are saying that this applies to them. They're saying, that's right, brother, you telling the truth. Now, it's not about me. You have 3 kids and tattoos and bastards. How does it not apply to you? Yeah, but I'm me. I'm special. That doesn't apply to me. Right. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 610. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, Jason. How are you?
Okay, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Carlos from Reading, Pennsylvania.
Carlos from Reading, what's on your mind?
Hey, I want to agree with the brother previously. I can agree with his point, but I think where the defer from females is, if they're not attracted to you, which you can tell right away, when you talk to them, forget it. Your life will be a living hell. Like, they will never, pretty much even cooperate.
Okay. What are women attracted to in your mind?
Like, mutual attraction. Like, you can pursue any female, but if she don't reciprocate the saying, like, I like you, you like me, nothing moves forward. It's only a one-sided deal, pretty much.
Okay. Do you think, so what you're saying is that if a woman is not physically attracted to you, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you see Carlos, do you see a fallacy or a flaw in that belief that you just expressed? Do you see a fallacy anywhere in there?
Well, the males, they have to be more down to earth. Like, you cannot just go towards any female, because then you're just wasting your time. Then you'll be simping, like we call it nowadays.
Okay.
You have to, like,
let's try this a different way.
Pretty much deal with the rejection.
Let's try this a different way, Carlos. Have you ever worked for an employer where they had like more than 20 people working in the same building?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You ever notice how the females will all hee and ha with the manager no matter who he is?
That is true, sir.
Okay. So the manager at every company in America is across the board routinely physically attractive to the women?
No, but they can pretty much take advantage of that.
Okay, now you say take advantage. What we would actually define that as well, women are attracted to power. And being good, a man who is physically attractive, like I was saying before, well, that's power. That can be a powerful thing. That moves people.
Yep.
Nothing moves people more than money does. Nothing moves more than money. But if he's physically attractive, then that could go a ways toward moving people. That could go a ways toward that. You can be, when you talk about being an alpha, you can be physically powerful, mentally powerful, intellectually powerful, financially powerful. There are levels to it. But let's not be deceived. At the end of the day, The number one cause of women wanting to leave the man they're with is financial. The number one deal breaker comes down to finance. Factor. So what she's looking for is power. There are a bunch of, let me be very, very clear. There are a bunch of cute guys with six-pack abs in jail tonight. Let me say that again. There's a bunch of cute guys with six-pack abs in jail tonight. Powerless as the son of a gun. Mm-hmm. Take a look at what they qualify for. There's a whole Pookie and Ray Ray. When you go to child support court, I'm telling you, dude, there's a bunch of slim dudes up in there. Bunch of slim dudes, bunch of tall dudes. If you ever, anybody who's been in family court, go peek inside. Anybody who's been to child support court, go ahead and peek inside. Slim dudes and six-pack abs all over the place. And yet, that doesn't prevent the inevitable from occurring. So while this is a high school misconception. It's very easy to say that when you're in high school and they just like him because he's attractive, because you're all equal there. You're not being judged by your performance. And in this society, in this society, when they leave high school, that residual for the females hangs around for a few more years. But eventually, at some point, the bill comes due and somebody wants to pay for something. Now you crash into the real world and she realizes, I'll be damned, cuteness doesn't actually have nearly the value or the premium that I thought it did when I was in high school. Then you see everything slam to a hard left. And then all of a sudden it's about, okay, I need to see your performance. So as females mature, you realize when the female starts maturing because she starts becoming a lot more discriminating, and all of a sudden looks become a distant second.
Mm-hmm. Can I give you an example just to see if I don't know if it's something that I'm pretty sure it's not relevant these days, but at least it was a couple of years ago when at least when I got married. Nowadays it's Wild Wild West.
Okay, you're saying what is the Wild Wild West?
Nowadays, dating and relationships.
How long you been married, sir?
Much.
Since 1982? How long you been married?
12 years.
Okay, man, it's been the Wild Wild West out here since the 80s. I mean, 12 years, dude. I mean, that doesn't even go back to Death Row Records. So it's been the Wild Wild West now for about 4 or 5 decades, man. We've been off and going since then. Now it's just with social media, it's just in your face all the time. But we've been there.
Yeah, but nowadays they expecting the lifestyle. They want all these boxes checked. It's crazy,
Well, certainly, but like I say, we've been hearing about this now for a good 30 years, that what the females in the top 5% get, that's what the other 95% should also receive. There's where the disconnect comes from. The females in the bottom 95 percentile have accepted this idea that they should be entitled to the exact same benefits that the females in the top 5 percentile get. Simply by virtue of having ovaries. That's all they should require. I got ovaries, I'm entitled. I got ovaries and an Instagram account. Why is it that I don't get this? Ain't I a woman? I got ovaries too. I should have that. And what it used to be, how old are you, caller?
I'm 35.
Okay. You're a little bit younger. Okay, you're way younger. But the bottom line is, if you all remember back in the 80s, remember the Calgon commercials. Remember the Calgon commercials. Calgon, take me away. For those of you who are too young to remember, you can go to YouTube and look them up. Calgon used to have an ad campaign. They had their bubble baths and stuff. And the woman comes home. She comes to the door. The baby is screaming. The phone is ringing. The blender is buzzing. The TV is loud. And she's just going crazy. And she says, Calgon, she puts her hands over her ears. Calgon, take me away. And next thing you know, she's in a bathtub and it suds and she's all at peace. And oh, it's just wonderful. So what I'm telling you is that used to be reality right there. That used to be the accepted reality. Women used to accept that the best I can get is a few minutes in a bubble bath to get away from the real world. What I qualify for are these kids here. These kids, this phone ringing. This is what I qualify for. And the best I can get beyond that is a bubble bath. Today, you've got an environment where if the females are able to get some likes on Instagram, then they tell themselves, well, Cardi B gets likes. Well, she gets like 100,000 and you get like 50. Yeah, but we both get likes. Okay, you're nowhere near each other. Yeah, but we both get likes, so I'm moving on. And so she gets likes and I get likes, so that means we both have equivalent value. That's where we are today.
Jason, you know what? That's exactly what I wanted to ask you next. Like us, the couples that are like married, and we're like, we're blue colors. It's like we're getting pretty much bombarded left, right, center. Like even my wife, like she's a stay-home mom. I pretty much provide her everything, and it doesn't matter where you look. For the females, cell phone, internet, whatever. It's just constant, the same thing, just being pushed left and right, and it comes to a point that does affect us. Like it's no way to hide it. It's no way to combat it.
Well, they're constantly being exposed to it, constantly. So we're really the first. We're dealing with a couple of generations now that are completely decoupled from realistic expectations. It used to be that you only saw a Rolls Royce if you were just very, very lucky. You couldn't even see it in the magazine. Now they're everywhere. It's ubiquitous. So people who used to not have any exposure to these things whatsoever, just back in the 80s, you had no exposure. Just a couple of decades later, you are inundated with the imagery. And now that you know it exists, you actually have an expectation that I should have that because I know it exists.
Exactly.
And that's exactly it. I'm not like everybody else. I'm special. A chick will be sitting there standing next to you with 3 or 4 bastard kids, Section 8, student loan debt, card debt, credit card debt. She can't keep a straight face on anything. Get some Valtrex, and she'll be telling you, but I'm special.
Yeah.
I'm special. I'm not like these other chicks. I'm special. I took some Instagram photos and put in some conditioner in my hair. I'm special. And I should get that.
And you know what the sad part is, Jason? That, me being a blue collar, I love automotive. And pretty much I don't pay for a single repair. None of my cars. They'll pretty much get fixed by me. And it's like nobody knows how to even change a tire nowadays. And that is so sad because it doesn't matter the vehicle you own. You're still going to have to look after it. It doesn't matter if it's a year-old, 10-year-old. They're all the same. But that is out the window. They don't even care about that. Yeah, take it to a dealership and, $100 an hour. But what do you think? It doesn't matter what you own. You're going to pay crazy money for simple stuff.
To the extent that they can. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 901. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Rocky Duck from Memphis.
All right, Rocky Duck from Memphis. What's on your mind?
All right. So now, I'm just letting everybody know right now, I'm that Ray Ray they was talking about.
Well, thank you for calling.
I was born in the 70s. Sir?
Thank you for calling in. We appreciate that. Proceed.
Okay. So I was taught by my uncles. They grew up with Ronald O'Neal and the movies back in the early 60s and 70s. And they taught me how to run girls. So I had 3-4 girls. And each one of my girls had to at least come in with $1,000 a day. So I used to ride around with girls, getting plenty of money. This has been going on since the 60s. I can't trust now female. I ain't had sex in years because these women having sex with men, homosexuals, just to get a chick. I don't trust none of them. And if you trust a female on this earth, you a fool. And I'm telling you, because I ran girls, they've been tricked, and all they want is money. The trick bag that Biden put them in, all they want is money. Stimulus check, hot girl summer, all of these girl trips, no real estate, no jobs. The immigrants and took all the gigs, nasty attitudes, and they got a lot of kids. So most of the women in America is in some real serious trouble for the rest of their life. I don't know why men are constantly trying to convince themselves. And plus, the laws is on the women's side. No matter what you do, she's going to get the last say. And the government's going to bag her plate. So any man that's listening right now, I was running girls, and they was having sex with 30 men a day. I'm the evidence. Men don't listen to me. I tell my homies, my cousins, and they don't listen. No, man, my girl ain't going to do that. I said, okay. A year or two down the line, they'll call me and say, man, she tore up my TV. She cut up my furniture. She put me in jail. Can you come make my bond? I said, well, if you would have listened to me 2 years ago when I tried to tell you, then you would be going through these things. So it seems like everybody is so hard-headed. The only way that they're going to learn is through experience.
Well, certainly that could be right. Thank you very much for giving us a call. The only way they're going to learn is through Experian or TransUnion or Equifax. Caller from area code 873. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller from 773. Last try. You're on live.
It's Fitz.
Caller from 773 is hitting the pipe. By the way, just so y'all be aware here, I do have the Zoom link is in the description if you want to go ahead and take advantage of that. By the way, if you have any 8s or 10s out there, or if one of Kendra's friends is listening, you're more than welcome to. The link is in the description of the video, but definitely go ahead and check that out as well. Let me get caller from area code 786. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi. My name is Quentin, and I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Quentin from Atlanta. What's on your mind?
I just want to say the caller Carlos, who called a short time ago. I want to say I wonder if he has a point about saying that there has to be some physical attraction there for a relationship to move forward. I think there might be something too.
It's the icing on the cake, sure. But just remember, it's icing, it's not the cake. If a man thinks that a man's money can run the rest of his life and keep females around, a man's looks without money, without any other attributes attached to it, good luck.
Okay. I think that's really the only comment I wanted to make, was saying that I agree with the brother Carlos, and also there was another caller who called before Carlos, and he said that you have some women who use men. I think he said that you have some women that he said that when a woman is using a man for his money, she doesn't really like him. I just want to say I think that was a very good point too. So I'll just end it there. Thank you.
I would challenge the idea of quote unquote using. I would challenge, what does that mean?
Using, I would say just using him for his, taking advantage of him because of his resources. But
let me ask a question. Can a man with resources be taken advantage of?
I think so.
How?
I think you see it. I think you see it all the time. I remember the basketball owner I think his name was Donald Sterling, who owned the LA Clippers. He talked about how his girlfriend, the young Latino woman, how she used him, and he broke down and started crying.
She was using him. I covered the story of Don. I covered the story of Sterling very closely. So I'm just saying, he was being used, because here's the real thing. In the middle of that case, he showed up at He showed up at some event with 2 young chicks on his arms. You think that he really thought that he was this flashy dude like that? You really thought that he thought that it was his looks that got females young enough to be his granddaughters? You thought that he didn't understand why they were there? We all remember the same famous quote from Hugh Hefner: "I don't care why they're here. I just care that they're here."
Well, I remember Donald Sterling. He did an interview, and he started crying, and he said, "Why was I?" He said something to the effect of, "Why was I foolish enough to think that she would like me?"
Wasn't crying. First of all, he was suffering from dementia. Second of all, his wife was sitting there talking about, "I'm going to divorce you." He was losing his NBA team, so he was crying for a number of different reasons. She wasn't one of them. This is a man worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you think one Ferrari, would even register on his accounting ledger? His wife went and recovered the damn Ferrari. I mean, come on, with those levels of performance and productivity, he wouldn't even notice it. No, he was worried about the fact that, congratulations, you're famous for all the wrong reasons. You're famous for all the wrong reasons, because the real thing with her is that, she got upset and, released the phone calls with him talking like a white supremacist. So that was what really happened there. So that's what he was boo-hooing over. It wasn't about her. It's never about that. He was trying to plead for sympathy. It's like, okay, you don't really have any leverage to do that. But let's be very, very clear. If you're 70, 80 years old, your looks are not your leverage. I don't give a damn who you are. I think Al Pacino right now is damn near 80? Running around with a chick who's 28? You think it's because, The Godfather? You think that's what it is?
Well, let me. Okay. Do I have time to ask one more question, or do you have to move on?
Yes, you can ask one more question.
I saw someone in the chat room. They brought up the convicted felon, Jeremy Meeks. What are your thoughts on Jeremy Meeks? I mean, because a lot of women thought he was very attractive. A lot of women liked him, but he was a convicted felon. I'm curious to know, did you have any thoughts on him?
Jeremy Meeks is, in the social media age, a phenomenon. If the average jailbird thinks that he's going to get Jeremy Meeks results, he is delusional. Guys like Jeremy Meeks are a dime a dozen. He is not rare. You know what is rare? Getting the results that Jeremy Meeks got. Jeremy Meeks basically is the Island Boys if they could have got a record deal. That's it. And the Island Boys are very common in the SoundCloud era. That's very common. What isn't common is still getting that record deal. So any fella pitching his flag on Jeremy Meeks got it, I can get it too. Okay. I wouldn't go putting that down payment on that Lamborghini based on that just yet. I wouldn't go put it down just yet. I'd hold back a minute if that's going to be the strategy. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a call from area code 407. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller from area code 407. Last try. You're on live.
Hey, what's up, Jason? How you doing? It's AC calling out of Fairfax, Virginia.
AC out of Fairfax. What's on your mind?
Well, I had a question, and just let me know if you think I'm wrong or if I'm right or my perspective. I'm thinking the whole situation with this is that as men, we didn't put the stop button on a lot of this stuff. We kept drawing the line in the sand. We kept crossing that line, saying what we wouldn't do and end up doing it. You know what I mean? Starts off small. You at the club or at a bar, you buying that random woman a drink. The next thing you know, you're going to dinner and all this other stuff. You know, they keep expecting more. If that makes sense.
Well, I mean, certainly you feed a beast a little bit, and next thing you know, it's great, big, huge grown. Absolutely. But it's also about proximity. You know, proximity to these 1%er items used to be a lot further away than it currently is. That's the difference. It didn't used to be nearly so close. You didn't used to have nearly this much access. Now you do. So now that they have this kind of proximity because remember, back in the 80s, for example, you know, you had rappers and some of them would talk about, you know, when they talked about wealth, what did they talk about? My Adidas. Oops, I meant to say hoops. You know, they would talk about tennis shoes. They would talk about a gold chain at best. At best, they would talk about a herringbone. That was it. Maybe somebody had a Mercedes, but that was the top of the line. That was all. By the time we get to the 90s, that's not good enough anymore. So you have a bunch of fakers and fronters trying to stand out, and all of a sudden a Mercedes isn't good enough anymore. Now it's got to be a Lamborghini, it's got to be a Ferrari. By the time we get to the 2000s, it's got to be a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, an Aston Martin. Rick Ross, Aston Martin music, Maybach music. It's got to be 1%er stuff. Top 5%, top 10%, top 5% is not enough anymore. For everything from what you drink to what you wear, because remember now it's expanded. Rap has always primarily been a man's game, but next thing you know, now we got men talking about, starting with Tupac, talking about Versace and, you know, Louis Vuitton. So it expanded from tennis shoes and a herringbone and a Mercedes to Bentleys, Prada, Gucci, Louis, just any name dropping any 1%er item that you can. So it became this competition to see who could outdo each other at name dropping 1%er items. Forget whether or not you could actually afford them. Forget whether or not these are props. Forget whether or not this is just for a video shoot. Forget whether or not this is reality. There's the real scary thing is that people don't care. Now that's the part that I consider to be scariest of all. That people will sit on social media, know that all of this is fake. Know that this person didn't buy this, didn't do this. And I'm not saying in Kendra G's case necessarily, but they will sit here and watch this and know that it's not real, know that this is a prop, know that this person doesn't own this, and then sit there and argue with you about why it's okay for this person to infer that they do. Now, there's the part that I consider to be scariest. Not only do they now have proximity to these things, they now have the desire to indulge in the illusion. That's the part I consider to be problematic, because this chick who wants to indulge in the delusion, she's eventually going to have to get off her Instagram phone, and then she's going to come to you. And she's going to expect you to play along with her delusion about what she should have. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 917. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. It's Jessica from Brooklyn, New York. How are you?
Jessica from Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
I just find it so interesting that men don't realize when they're talking about, you know, these women, they just want money. These older men, we brought up the example of Donald Sterling. These men are young vagina diggers. Men get status from being with a beautiful woman. So if you walk into a room with an older man, other older men are looking at him with admiration because he sees that, they see that you're on his arm. And
okay, well, let me explain to you. Let me explain to you where the basic fallacy comes in there. These are not aesthetics, okay? Let's be very, very clear. These are not aesthetics. The things that you just talked about, that's not aesthetics. There are the things that make a man valuable are not the same as the things that make a woman valuable. A woman has a unique ability that a man simply doesn't possess. She's got the ability to have children. She's got the ability to carry on his genetic legacy. That is a unique attribute. Now, whether she is big and undeserving or whether she is just the right size, the bottom line is she's got the ability to do that. So with that being the case, that's what a woman presents. That's what she offers. So we can't rule that out. Likewise, for a man, historically, throughout history, what a man offers is productivity, physical. Let me be very, very clear. Physical productivity, hunting, gathering, chopping down supplies to build shelter. We offer physical resources. So regardless of what's happened in the industrial age, 'cause remember, things only changed in the last 100 years. It's not like we've been living like the last 100 years are not indicative of the last 200 years, much less the last 1,000 years. We're only in the first 100 years of a generation that doesn't have to perform hard labor the way that their grandparents and great-grandparents did. So with all that being equal, when a young female enters the room, just understand, as I said to you all before, in a relationship, the man has to gather resources. In a relationship, the woman is the resource. And the bottom line is the things that make you valuable as a woman, your ability to produce that has a limited shelf life. The problem with engaging in, and this is going to hurt a lot of folks' feelings here, but ladies, if you want to know why it is that that damn clock hurts you and bothers you so much, it's because you understand the shelf life of a woman being able to be viable is brief. Now, you can get an older female and go through the motions, but at the end of the day, you know she's never going to be able to complete it. She cannot give birth. And if she does, she's not nearly as viable an option, not nearly as attractive an option as a young, nubile female. There's a reason why things like breasting up perky isn't just something that makes dudes respond for nothing. It is because it's indicative. These are all, healthy pregnancy cues. Hips are healthy, large breasts, hips, thighs, healthy skin tone. These are all healthy pregnancy cues. These are physical cues that suggest, I didn't say guarantee, but these are physical cues that suggest that this is a good place. This is a good fertile soil for procreation. That's the difference. And likewise, a man whose money is straight, his competence is straight, he is a safe person for you to risk your body getting pregnant with.
Right.
Whether it was hunting and gathering or whatever, this is not a guy who's going to leave you, at least it would suggest that he's not going to leave you high and dry and destitute. It suggests that you wouldn't. So there's the real difference. A young female isn't just desirous because she's, quote, young. There is a value that comes with that. Likewise, remember something. Older men are equally desired by both younger women and older women. Let's say that again. Okay, we got disconnected there for a moment. So somebody's hating on our program here tonight, but that's perfectly fine. We got disconnected for a moment, but we're back with you here. So the real point I wanted to make to you here is that these are not aesthetics. And I know it's very, very easy to get triggered. You have a lot of folks that get easily triggered by that, and they should be. By the way, they're easily triggered by it, and they should be. I want to explain to you. This is not a minor thing. This is not a minor thing. There's a reason why this stuff matters. There's a reason why this stuff matters. This is not just optional. This is about who is going to have the best out of life and who isn't. That's really what this is about. This is about who's going to have the best out of life and who is going to do without. This is about who is going to have what they want in this world and who is going to suffer. That's what this is about. This is about who is going to be able to take it easy and who is going to work till they die. Go ahead and make sure you refresh your screens here. They've finished messing with it. I want you all to understand why this is such a serious subject and why so many people are triggered about this. Because this is about life and death. This is about purpose. This is about whether or not you're going to have anything here. There's a reason why the older women, there's a reason why the bitterness comes out voraciously. There's a reason why the bitterness has been so voracious in the passing of Kevin Samuels. There's a reason why the viciousness has been so voracious. It is because they understand that when you tell these women that you don't have any leverage, you don't have any collateral with which to purchase, they understand you're not making an insult. That's not an insult. What you're doing is you're giving them accurate accounting, but they understand along with that accurate accounting, that's a death sentence. A man's preferences will determine how a woman lives and how a woman dies. You see, a woman's preferences can irritate men, annoy men, but a man's preferences will determine how and if a woman dies. It will determine how she spends her last days, her last years, her last decades. A man's willingness to put himself out there for you financially, that is your retirement plan. A man's willingness to risk himself on a woman's behalf, that makes all the difference. That's going to decide everything. That's going to decide everything. That's going to decide it all. That's why so many people are so angry and so triggered by that. Don't be deceived about what you're seeing or what you're hearing. These are not minor things we're talking about. This kind of signaling that she's doing, what she's signaling is, okay, if I can get myself a 2010 Bentley, then the next man out there needs to get me a 2022. That's what she's trying to signal. That's the point I'm making. That's what they're trying to signal. Through her actions, that what was good enough for you is not going to be good enough for her. We have to set the bar high because she understands her ability to survive is going to be wrapped up in that. This is not a minor thing. This is not a little thing. Not at all. This is not minor. This is not little. We're talking about your ability to live. We're talking about your ability to survive. We're talking about how well you will and if you will. Let's be very, very clear. The women who are able to shop at Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman Marcus live longer than the women who shop at Target and J. Crew. Yeah, I said it. Because it's true. I said it because it is true. The easier a woman's life is, and that doesn't mean that she doesn't have to exercise or whatever, but what I'm saying is the more control of her time that the woman has, the longer she's going to live and the healthier she's going to live. And every single woman understands this. The more control that she has of her time, the longer she will live, the healthier she will live. And you max out that value by the quality of man that you have in your life. That's how you max that out. Inversely, if you lack those qualities, everything else goes to hell after that. Inversely. Which is what you see. You see, there's a reason why women shame each other about their shoes and their handbags and stuff. Yeah, because women understand what they doing. That's verbally fighting. You're letting her know, look at your raggedy ass handbag and your raggedy ass shoes. I'm going to live longer than you. I'm going to live better than you. Life is going to be great. Everything's going to be wonderful here. That's what they know. Everything's going to be wonderful. That's what they're implying and suggesting to each other, is that everything's going to be good. This is how you flex rank over other females. Let's be very, very clear. This is Kendra G sitting up here flexing rank. She's flexing rank over somebody else. She's setting up the hierarchy. And the others are falling in line, by the way. The others are falling in line. Just remember that. She's setting up the pecking order, and the other females are falling in line. You know the real reason why she did this, and this is something I want to cover here real quick. The real reason that Kendra G did this was because she knows that there's not going to be a bunch of males on her page to scrutinize what she's doing. She did this because there weren't going to be a bunch of men to sit there and analyze this and say what I'm saying. She knew it was a safe place to be able to do that. There weren't going to be a bunch of men fact checking it. There wouldn't be a bunch of men scrutinizing it. She could sit here and flex in front of a bunch of women, and what she was doing would be accepted. Because nobody is going to fact check it. No one's going to scrutinize it. They're all going to fall in line. Because they don't know the difference between a 2010 Bentley and a 3010 Bentley. They don't know the difference. So she knew she was in a safe space to do this. She knows that her social media is a safe place to do this. This is not an unsafe place to do this. Now, if she had a bunch of men in her audience, then it would be like Saweetie and some of the other ones. Oh, it's like, oh, I have a bunch of males in the audience watching. It's going to be a different matter. If I try to get away with that, it's going to be a different matter. There's a reason that kind of thing occurs. And no, it's not hating on to tell the truth about it. It's not hating on to tell the truth about it. Just understand there are folks who understand it and there are folks who get it. Just want you to see exactly why that's a thing. I just want you to see why that's a thing. So to the fellas out there, I want you to recognize what you're dealing with here and recognize why the environment is the way it is. This is something that is being sold to the men. This is an idea, a concept that's being sold to men. That the females, if they got to pay for it, they're telling you that they're giving you the implication that they would do the exact same amount of work and put in the exact same amount of effort that you would. That they would work themselves, that they would do exactly what you would do. And even when it's time to go buy these ultra exotic items, they will not try 1/5 the level of effort that you will. Not even 1/5. It's not going to be even 1/5, but they're not going to tell you that. When they talk to you, everything's going to be up to date and everything's going to be on par. You'll just be told, well, you know, the bar is a lot higher for you. Which is why I tell the fellas here, I want you to understand the price isn't nearly as exorbitant as you think it is. Get your money to get together, get everything else together. Get your life together, get straight about it, but also understand what the market really is. You see, I want to leave you with this thought here. I mentioned this before. What we really need is a female FICO. You see, women can check a man's FICO. They can check your finances. They can see what you got. The men don't have the ability to do the same thing. If the men could actually see what the offers were that the women were getting, that'd be different. Oh, by the way, you kind of can see though, fellas. Social media is how you check a woman's FICO. Social media is how you check her FICO. You can check her feminine FICO there. If she's got men competing, she's going to let you know. If she's got men competing, she's going to let you know. She's going to let people know because she needs to let them know, oh, the price is going up. Let me take a moment here. In the chat room, Marjorie Lemons, I'm very glad you said that. You need to go ahead and give us a call up, ma'am. I would love to hear more details about that. Marjorie Lemon's in the chat room. I'd like for you to go ahead and give us a call up. I was going to go ahead and wrap things up, but I'm going to hold things up here for a couple of more minutes for you here. You can go ahead and everything's in the description of the video, but you can go ahead and either give us a call or you can check in on Zoom. But Marjorie, I'll give you a couple of minutes here. And if she doesn't call up, then Marjorie will not be joining us. But certainly, if she has something like that to say, then she needs to go ahead and call in and explain to all of us. Go ahead and explain that to all of us. Because if you're going to tell men that these things don't matter, see, here's the real problem of it. When the men finally show up and say, okay, wait a minute, the women are telling us that this is how high the level of production needs to be, but when it's up to them to go and purchase an item for themselves, what they consider to be adequate for themselves, the standard is far lower than what they expect from us. They would never expect. They'll flip out for it for themselves. It's okay for them. It's not okay for us. That's a problem. Let me see if this is her. Caller from area code 801. You're on Live with the Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Marjorie Lemons, and I'm calling from Clearfield, Utah.
Okay, Marjorie, how old are you?
I am in my 60s.
Okay, Marjorie, do you even still have a valid driver's license?
I sure do.
Okay, Marjorie, what kind of car do you drive?
A Cadillac. You want to know?
Which model? Do you even know?
It's a 2001.
I would have figured it would be a 78 Fleetwood Brougham. Are you sure?
Well, no, it's not. Sorry.
Okay, are you married, Marjorie? You had a 1995. Okay, so you turned in your 1995
That's
Fleetwood for a 2001. What is that? CTS Eldorado?
Yeah, I'm not into cars and things like that, Jason.
Did your husband buy it for you?
No, I brought it myself.
Why?
Because I wanted it.
Where is your husband to buy it for you?
When did he buy it for me? He just fixed it for me. I brought it for myself. I worked. I'm retired right now.
Okay. Does that tell you something, Marjorie?
Yeah. Well, no, not really. I'm just calling about the picture that Kendra was in. It was her birthday. And I just wanted to say that, you know, what's wrong with her putting that on there if it was her birthday? You know, men do it. They buy expensive cars and show off their suits and things. So what's wrong with Kendra doing that? I don't think she was doing that to make a point.
Yes, she was.
About a man thing or a woman thing.
Yes, she
I
was.
think she did it for herself.
Actually, yes, she was.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well.
Actually, yes, she was. This is public signifying. Yes, it is. It is to say that this car represents my status in society. That's the whole point. Otherwise, she could have bought a brand new Mercedes S-Class for a little bit more.
Yeah, I understand that, Jason, but you know what? I've seen parents buy their daughters Mercedes-Benz when they get out of high school or graduate from college.
Okay, but ma'am, do you even know what that car is? I explained this to the whole program. Do you even know what that car is?
I know what kind of car it is. I saw it. It's old.
Okay, that's a Bentley Continental Super Sport. That's not a Cadillac. It's not a Mercedes. It's not a Cadillac. It's not a Mercedes. That car that she's standing in front of, when it was new, was on a whole different level than your Cadillac.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay,
I think
and that
she was
car
doing
is
for a photo op. That's what I looked at it as, a photo op.
Okay, ma'am, you say I look at it as a photo op. Is she representing this photo as a photo op, ma'am, or did you actually read what she said?
Well, I saw the birthday thing. I've been on her page.
Okay,
before,
you saw her
but I
say
didn't
that
read
every year I buy myself a birthday gift. This year I bought myself a Bentley. And you talking about, oh, I thought this was just a photo op. She literally said the words, I bought myself a Bentley, and you're trying to redefine it as something else. And what I'm saying is this is exactly what we're talking about. When females get together, they will literally lock arms, get on code, and when they're in front of men, they'll just be like, okay, do whatever you have to do. Lie, cheat, steal, to make the men say that whatever you're doing is valid. But if the men did the exact same thing, if a man put her in front of a Bentley, took some pictures and said, okay, this is as good as I have to produce for you in your life is to take some pictures of you in front of a Bentley, she would be disgusted and insulted, and so would all of you. You would not accept a man posing her for a photo op and then trying to pass it off as if he actually bought her one. You would say that's raggedy and bummy and dusty and she needs to leave him. You would be advising her to sleep with his brother or his cousin tonight in front of him on the couch.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Yes, you would.
I understand what everybody's saying, but I didn't take it as that. Like I said, I thought it was a photo op because the car is old.
Yeah, but you couldn't think it's a photo op when she says, I bought myself a Bentley. And what I'm saying is what I've done, what I did was I put this photograph in context. There are 25,000 likes on this photo. And the reason that there are 25,000 likes on this photo is because when Volkswagen redesigned the Bentley Continental, that design is readily recognizable around the world. Everybody recognizes a Bentley Continental design when they see one. Well, what I am saying is that, however, it's readily recognizable, just like Rolls-Royce. And over the course of a decade, Bentley made very, very minor changes to it, so it's still readily recognizable over 14 years later. So you got folks out here driving cars that are ancient and passing it off as if that this represents baller life. And that isn't something that you're representing in front of females. That's nice to pose in front of females, but this has no value unless you can translate it to a man. And what you're doing is sending signals to a man that I'm a Bentley girl. Now, she's not expecting the women watching her to do that.
Well, that's the modern day girl. I think those are modern day girls. I'm a traditional girl. I don't understand all this stuff anyway. So,
Marjorie, she bought it for her birthday. The problem is that her and the women watching, they will not accept this from a man. They'll sit here on this an insult to tell the men that you wouldn't accept this from us. So when the women have to spend their own money and have to do their own work, they go and get a Cadillac Fleetwood or a CTS with Marjorie. But when it comes to a man, if he has to do it for her, then she's like, oh no, that ain't good enough. You got to do 3 times better than I did. So the very same Bentley that she's flipping out over, if a man had done this and said, here's your birthday gift, the response would be radically different. She would not be on social media sitting up here styling and profiling. She wouldn't be doing that. And what I'm saying is that this is the plight of men today. This is the situation that we're in across the board. And this is Kendra G, who ain't bad on the eyes. She's a little up there in age, but she's not hard on the eyes. The rest of the 25,000 females cheering and cheerleading and whatnot, that's the section. Those are the females that the men have to choose from. And they'll be sitting there doing the same thing, knowing what I'm saying is that this is indicative of everything else. Look, this is an extreme example, but it's far from the only example. So I'm not trying to hold this up as this is just by itself. What I'm saying is that in the real world, if the man that you're with is able to buy, you, I don't know, an Acura.
Mercedes.
Well, an Acura. Let's just say an Acura instead. Well, you're going to be like, well, damn, if he got an Acura here, why didn't you get me the NSX? If he bought you a BMW 3 Series, why didn't you get me a 7 Series? And God forbid if you buy her a used car. Now, you buy her a used car.
I'll take it.
And Marjorie would take it, but then again, Marjorie's on SSI, so that's a different matter. But for the girls who are still out here and viable and in the club, it's going to be a different matter. They're going to be like, oh no, I can't be seen with something like that. Not if I got to pay for it. I mean, not if somebody else is going to pay for it. If I got to pay for it, that'll be acceptable. But for the men, it's a double standard. No, you can't do that. And what I'm saying is I'm showing this because this is a woman who's got 25,000 likes on a photo that if her boyfriend had done the exact same thing and said, this is why I bought Kendra, it would be nothing but laughing and ridicule in the comments. The first thing everyone would point out is how old the car is, and they would say, oh, this fella is fake balling.
Yeah. Well, all I can say, I don't know, Jason. Be one, and I have friends whose husbands brought them Mercedes Benz, and they were happy. And they were happy if they even got a little used car. So I don't know.
But you're right. But here's my point. The whole point I'm making tonight is that what you just said, now that's reality. What you just said is actually reality. The problem is that men have got to sit up here and break people down and bust them down to get back to reality. That's the problem. Everybody is holding out. Everybody's trying to hold out for some mythical exotic deal. That's the problem. When ultimately they would be lucky to have what you have. And instead they're holding out for a social media fantasy. As opposed to saying, you know what, let me do like Marjorie, cash out my chips and leave the casino. Because here's the killing part of it. 25,000 likes on Facebook. 25,000 likes. That means 24,999 females who will be just sitting there and dreaming for the rest of their days. Because they're going to try to do what she's doing. They put a like on that because they're like, yep. And if what they're thinking is, if I hold out, I can get the same thing. I just got to hold out. If Kendra could do it, so can I. All you got to do is just hold out. And that's a lie. It's not real.
Ooh, I hope not. Well, I don't know. I like I said, I've got friends whose husbands bought them cars. And then I have friends who bought their daughters cars and and their dads brought their cars. So I don't know. I have a mixed thing about it, the whole thing. We living in a day and world where everything is materialistic. And we got that from white supremacy. Okay? I'm just saying that because everything is, let's keep up with the Joneses. And we're messing up our whole family structure by keeping up with the Joneses. We can't keep up with the Joneses.
I agree.
We're not there yet.
Well, here's
we're not there yet.
The real issue is that most of them won't get there. Most of them won't get there. That's the real thing.
We don't have rock RAs. We don't have nothing. So what are we doing here? We can't be keeping up with the Joneses. We need to build. We got to start building. It's time to start building and forget all this little ratchet stuff. It's getting ratchet to me. I just don't understand it. That's all I got to say. Be one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, Marjorie. Well, there's a woman who could stand by what she was saying there. But definitely here, my whole point about this was that the men are being held to a whole different standard. And I want us to have an open conversation about this because you've got young men who don't understand it. Of course, I want you to excel. Of course I do. Of course I want you to excel. I don't want you to do the bare minimum of the bare basics on anything. Of course I want you to excel. But by the same token, I want you to be aware of that. Okay, Jacqueline, I want you to go ahead and point your camera down some more, ma'am. There you go. Okay.
Long ago, I'm sorry.
Well, she has a lot to say here, I'm imagining here. So let's go ahead and get you up here.
Hi.
Hello, and what was on your mind?
An hour late to the broadcast.
Amazing.
I'm sorry.
What's on your mind?
So I wanted to know, so what is the hope for that woman, the one that has the 3 bastard kids, the Section 8 and the student loan debt and the student loan debt and the just that bad credit. What is the solution? Where do they have to start and begin?
Okay. Before that woman can go any further on anything, the real point is it's a reality check. When you go to the doctor and get a checkup or something, you don't get to tell him, I'm perfectly fine. No, he's going to be the one who tells you if you are. And we're in an age where the women want to give themselves a self-diagnosis and always, I'm perfectly fine. That's not the way it works. So first and foremost is you have to accept there's going to be a reality check. And whatever your expectations or assumptions were, there's a good chance that might not happen if you've committed certain offenses. Now, that's just reality check. Now, as men, we're subject to this. And I'm going to answer your question here, but as men, we're subject to this from a very young age. It doesn't matter if we want to be athletes or not. If we're not on that athletic trail by the time we're in high school, it ain't happening. Very, very few can wait till they're in their 20s. Everybody's going to sit there and tell them, man, you're crazy. You're stupid. You can't make it. And you know what? They're right. So as men, people bring us to reality very, very quickly in life. Very, very early. As females, folk lie to you because there's an incentive to lie, because there's somebody who's going to be able to profit as long as you have the arrogance to want to believe what they're saying. So there's the first issue is the person has to be ready to accept reality. That's the first thing. Everybody is out here fantasizing about a 1%er life. The best course of options for that woman to accept that that's not going to happen. And that she probably actually does have an option to get a top 15% life. But if her standard is I'm stonewalling anybody who doesn't bring me this 1%er fantasy that I saw on Cardi B's timeline, then understand she's chasing what she can never have and gonna lose what she actually could. That's the problem. So having an honest conversation, let them know, I need you to let it go. Get this out of your hand. Unlock your fingers. Let this go. You're not going to get Mr. Baller. That's not going to happen because he wants something younger with fewer complications. You want something? Well, he wants something. And if you're not what those men want, do you really just want to rack up a body count, or do you actually want to be like, okay, Jason, what do I actually qualify for? Now, there's the real question. Now, you tell me, Jacqueline, do women, yourself included, are they ready to hear the answer for what they actually qualify for?
Well, they need to be ready if they want to change, if they want any hope. And I mean, nobody can just stay in a negative state. Like nobody can just accept being in a negative state and being somewhere where they're not prospering. No, I mean, it's not okay. Some people have to grow and they have to change. And they need to want to change. They don't have to, some people just want to and need to.
Well, the first thing I would say is we live in a society today that has grossly overinflated what females expect. Grossly, outrageously. And there's money to be made at it. When you take a look at Prada doesn't care that you've driven yourself, you spent your whole tax return. It's bigger profits for them. There's a big market to be made off of selling women lies. And if they're willing to, that's why they're in the most consumer debt. If you can get them to be honest, they can actually have something better. So first and foremost, stop with the overinflated value. Accept what the market value really is. Well, I want a guy making $200,000 a year. That's not your market value. Okay, well, it is my market value. The guy who works at the Department of Sanitation, that's going to be more like it. Now, here's the thing, though. He is stable. He goes to work every day. He is reliable. When you start thinking about your character flaws that got you into the position and the trouble you're in, understand where women get into trouble is they have character flaws and then they get those flaws indulged. Well, that's like having a disease and then you start feeding the disease. You have to let it go first. So if you're a person who's been reckless, you need stability. That doesn't help you if you don't value stability. Well, I want to live like I'm a juvenile delinquent for the rest of my life. And then you get in trouble. Now, once you start adding children to the equation, now you need a guy who is reliable and responsible. You need to start putting a priority on the things that matter. So first and foremost, do you have a guy who fools with you for real? That you realize, okay, I bring a bunch of demerits to the table. I'm not as fly as I think I am. Now, that's the real problem pill to swallow today, is every female today wants to tell you that she's a 10. She wants to tell you that her life is great. She's got 4 or 5 bastard kids hanging off of her, debt out of her ass, but she's telling you, I'm great. So can we break that down first and say, no, actually, you're not great. You're not fly. You need to get in where you fit in and stop telling yourself this narcissistic fantasy that you are just of immense value. Because what you actually can get is leaving the building. Now, if a female is 35 years old, got 2 kids in tow, and a bunch of debt and whatnot, she is going to have to be an exemplary citizen so she can leave the casino with a man who is reliable, stable, and responsible. You don't get Mr. Fly. You don't get Mr. Fly Negro. You don't get Mr. Baller. You can dream about it. You don't get him. What you get if you really work your ass, you will get a stable, mediocre employee. But that's what you qualify for. Because here's the thing we have to say. As women, it's just like men. If you play, you pay. And we don't get to have an honest conversation and tell them, you know what, there will be consequences of this. If you go hobby-hoeing yourself in your 20s, the bill is going to come due. It's all fun and games when you're in your 20s. That bill is going to come due. I have a couple of kids because I'm so fine and I'm so great, it doesn't matter, and I can be as narcissistic as I wish to be. I don't like a man telling me what to do. It's like, okay, well, don't worry. These white folk at this job will tell you what to do for the next 50 years. The bill will come due. There's just no way around it. If a young man goes off and racks up felonies, he's in and out of jail, he's getting into trouble, he gets a bunch of bastard kids, guess what? The bill's going to come due for him too. Everybody needs to accept some damn adulthood. The bill is due. So if she's 35 years old with some kids, she needs to prioritize Mr. Reliable, Mr. Square, the dude who doesn't have a lot of sexual experiences under his belt. Yeah, you're fly for him. What you women really need to look for is you need to look for the guy who for him, you are his 8. The problem is what you all want is you all want the same top 10% of men. That's the problem. You're all fighting to get the top 10% of men, regardless of your condition, regardless of your weight, regardless of your look, regardless of your finances. Y'all want Idris Elba. Y'all are all fist fighting. I got to get Idris. That is my dream, baby. I got to get him. And no, there's such a thing as a healthy fantasy life, and then there's this unhealthy mess we got going on now. That's unhealthy. Let it go. And don't wait until you damn me Grandma Ethel to let it go. Get a fella who, for him, you are his 10. You're never going to be Idris Elba's 8, 10, 6. You're never going to be that. I'm not talking to you personally, but just saying. That's never what it's going to be. You're looking for the guy who you are his 8. He's a fella who, he might not be killing it in the game, but he's going to be reliable. This fella is going to work, and he's going to get you that BMW 5 Series when you're 45 or 50. He's going to actually do that. He's going to invest in you and your kids. He's going to do that because that's where he is. Meet somebody who is actually at your level. And just understand that if you don't do that, there's a worse fate. Because you would be better off being a chick with 3 kids with a fellow who's got some insurance, some life benefits, and a pension than to be sitting up here trying to swing it as a single mom and work until you die. You'd be a hell of a whole lot better off grabbing him and leaving the damn casino. But if you're a disciplinary problem, you got attitude issues, you're in and out of therapy, you can't be talked to, you can't be reasoned with, you can't be coached, then you don't have to listen to what I'm saying, because men are not going to change. A man who's worked his life to build himself into something, he's not going to be shortchanged. This idea that you're going to find a productive simp and a happy sucker, there's not enough happy suckers left. So what the women will have to do, because they'll be required, because we're there now. I'm not saying in the future. We're there now. If you're a chick who's over the age of 25 and you're carrying a bunch of kids, you got a bunch of bills or whatever, no, the game is already over. So what she needs to do is stop messing around, stop taking a look at Cardi B or Ciara and saying, well, if they did it, stop with the nonsense. That's not going to be you. Find the fellow who has been working at the plant. Find the fellow who he's really into you. He fools with you for real. He is reliable. Because, by the way, this is what your mothers and your grandmothers did. Your mothers and your grandmothers did this. This generation is sitting up out here saying, no, they should be, point your camera down a little bit more. This generation is sitting up here telling you, oh, we don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. I'm eligible for the same thing that Halle Berry in her prime was eligible for. Stop it. Find a fellow who is reliable and you are his 8. Find the guy who is just really into you and you are his 8. And leave the damn casino ASAP. Grab your winnings and leave. Did you have any other questions?
No. I don't have any other questions.
All right. Well, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. There's a lesson to be learned from that. There's a lesson to be learned from it. It can be very easy to say those things. It can be very easy to do that. Everybody's being sold on this lie that, oh, well, you can just hang out there forever. And that's the biggest lie in the world. You can sit there, but there's nothing out there. Ladies, every year that you spend out there, there's nothing waiting. There's nothing waiting. Kendra G can do this. She's entertaining. Getting those views pays her bills. Getting likes adds to her bills. It adds to her income. It's not going to do the same thing for you. So if you're a female and you know you've made mistakes, let me explain to you what you have to do here. If you're a female and you know you've made mistakes, damn it, find the best value guy that you can quickly, because the quickly is the really major part. Find him quickly, get him ingratiated to you quickly, leave the damn casino quickly. Do not stick around. Get the hell up out of there. If you are dealing, because most of the females today have been told, I can be a disciplinary problem and a man's supposed to pay all my bills, fulfill all my dreams, while I'm sitting here acting like half a psycho. No. I can't be told anything. I can't be told anything. I can be lying and deceptive and I can be disrespectful, and they should take that too. He's supposed to indulge. He's not only supposed to just take care of me, he's supposed to indulge all my darker urges. And in the process, you end up leaving, because I don't care if the guy makes $5 million or $5,000 a year. You're not prime real estate for any of them. Drop the bad attitude, drop the mental and emotional problems, grab the best one you can and leave the casino. Find the fella who fools with you for real and make it work. See, that's what your grandmamas and your great grandmamas had to do. Find the guy who fools with you for real and make it work. Make it work. I've told you all about this before. Kim Kardashian went back out in the sexual marketplace. What'd she bring home? White Pookie. She went out to the sexual marketplace and the best she could get was a white Pookie. That was it. You went from having a billionaire to having a white Pookie. With a bunch of other used up broads on the internet telling you, well, you got your money. Well, if you're going to just have your money, then it doesn't really matter. Why did you bother getting it then if a white Pookie can lay up with you? You made it all the way to the top of the mountain, and now white Pookie can lay up with you. What the hell was the point of making all these high-powered associations if white Pookie has the same sexual access to you that a billionaire does? That is sexual malfeasance. And there's a whole bunch of the majority of female society operates the same way today. Ladies, if a millionaire and a homeless dude can both sleep with you, if a fellow with maximum ambition and a fellow with no ambition both have equal opportunity sexual access to you, all you broads out there, you still laying up with your baby daddies and stuff, if that dude still has sexual access to you, you have failed as a female and failed as an adult. When a producer and Pookie both have equal access to you, you're done. Because you are mismanaging yourself. Find the fellow who fools with you for real and make it work. Because let's be very, very clear. 90% of relationships are broken up by females. Find the one who fools with you for real and make it work. Get over your problems. Get over your shortcomings. Get back in there and make it work. I did tonight's program because there were lessons to be learned from this. I did tonight's program because I want the men to be properly calibrated about what to expect in the future. I want the females to understand that men like me are informing the guys of what the real standard actually is. Fellas, I'm not saying don't get a Bentley. What I am saying is I said all this tonight to make one point. I've been saying it now for weeks. Women are never going to work as hard as you. They are not going to do it. They'll sit up here and talk tough on the internet. They'll bluff their asses off. They are not gonna work as hard as you will. They just won't. When you say if you were a man and you said I bought a Bentley for my birthday, you damn well better believe it's gonna be brand spanking new. You would be too ashamed to run up in front of people with a 14-year-old and talking about I bought a Bentley, because you would know the rest of the men are like, oh, you fake balling. Dude, who do you think you're trying to fool? We're not a bunch of females. You're trying to fool us. That's what you'd be saying. Who you fooling? And you would understand that. So what I'm saying to you fellas here is understand that what you've been sold on is what is required of you is far different than what actually is. Everybody is just understand the women are not going to work as hard as you. They're not going to work as hard. They're not going to do as much. They are never going to outwork you. The only way they can beat you is if you're just standing still. Women's standards for themselves are nowhere even remotely as high as your standards for yourself. Not at all. Not at all. And I brought you Kendra G's birthday gift to herself as proof. Now I'm going to say something else. Now I have to be concerned because this might get back to Kendra. And I didn't do this to be insulting, Kendra. Anytime you want to contact me about it, by all means, if you have something you want to say, by all means, you are welcome to. But I want to just make a point here. Kendra G was flipping the hell out in front of the whole world over a 14-year-old Bentley that allegedly she got for herself. Fellas, she could pick that thing up. It's a super sport, so right now on the market, you're looking at about $80,000. That's a what? A fully equipped GMC Yukon, a base model Escalade, a base model Lincoln Navigator, a BMW X7. That's a brand new one. Brand new. You can pick up a brand new base model Escalade, base model Navigator, a BMW X7, not even base model. You can pick up one of those for $80,000. If that's the price, you can pick up one of those for $80,000. Not hard. You can do that. That's the point I'm trying to make. And if $80,000 impressed Kendra G to this point, how about those of you who can get a fully decked out Escalade for $110,000, $120,000? How about the others of you that you can go a little bit further and you can go grab that G-Wagon for $130,000, $150,000? How about those of you who could do that? How about those of you who you can get that BMW X7 Alpina, $180,000? What I'm telling you is that if Kendra G is this impressed by a 2010 Bentley, there's a bunch of you fellas who could buy at least a 2012, 2013, 2014 for $100,000. You could have Kendra G wrapped around your finger. If this is how impressed she is by a 14-year-old car, if this is how impressed she and the other 25,527 or 537 other females are by a 14-year-old car, fellas, you'll be running the damn yard if you can get. That's the bar you have to clear. 14 years old and $80,000. And you too could have Kendra G doing backflips. That's the point I was making. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that laid the foundation upon which all these red pill, MGTOW, high value imitators and alpha male wannabes out there are still going to be faking and frauding on. This is the place that laid the foundation they all got their analysis from. You've heard it here for yourselves. We continue to blaze trails and give you the insight and analysis you'll receive nowhere else. So click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. YouTube has informed me that only about a third of my subscribers actually have all notifications turned on. So if you haven't been getting your notifications, by the way, you need to make sure those are turned on. I know sometimes it can be annoying with them, but you need to make sure they are turned on. Otherwise, you won't know. So make sure you have that turned on here. And if you haven't considered joining us on Patreon, it goes down every weekend over there. You can talk with me one-on-one. That's definitely available for you as well. So make sure you're able to do that also. Thank you all for joining us here this evening. Thank you to everyone who contributed to tonight's program on PayPal or Cash App. Thank you very much, and Super Chat as well. I see you all. Thank you very much for your support. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.